Well, because Rachel, the Fed single-handedly has killed the housing market. The Fed will make more renters in this country in the next 2 years than it has in the last 50 because mortgage applications are at all-time lows. Mortgages are double what rent is today. Supply and demand is what controls interest rates. As long as people are spending their money, that means they want that product or service. At what point it gets to a price where I no longer find it valuable, I will no longer continue to purchase that. And people want homes. People want to live in a single family home. I don't personally think it's a great investment. I've said that many, many times. I've gotten ragged out on it, but
Hello, family, and welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. Today, I want to talk to you about a recent interview that Grant Cardone had on the Fox News Network, and he's talking a little bit about the housing market. So we saw there, Grant Cardone says that he doesn't believe that housing is a great investment. Grant has the idea of everyone should kind of just be free, live your life, don't worry about housing, don't worry about the cost, and he'll rent you the space for you. And that's an interesting space where a lot of people are finding themselves right now. Things were okay a few years ago where it wasn't such a problem when you were renting your space for $1,100, $1,200 or so, and things were all good. But over the last 4 or 5 years, rents now average around $1,800 to $2,000 for a one-bedroom or two-bedroom apartment in most parts of the country. And they're definitely outliers, whether higher or lower from there. But in general, if you go anywhere around the country and it's a major city, you're going to pay around $1,800 per month. And for those who have kind of waited by, the time where you could get a mortgage for $1,500 or so during the pandemic with the 3% interest rates, those times have kind of passed right now. So mortgage rates at this point are around $3,000, $2,500 when you include taxes and all these things included. And those who are like Grant Cardone, I think what Grant is giving here is an insight to what many of his colleagues are thinking. The idea that they want many of the millennials to continue to rent, don't worry about the housing issue, and we will take care of that for you. And you just continue to pay us. Is kind of something that's really going on a lot right now. So we saw during 2021, I believe, the amount of investors who purchased were about 21%. This June, it was equals to about 25%. So while a lot is happening right now, we're still seeing investors are continuing to purchase and to continue to move forward. We'll go ahead and play a video here. We'll watch a little bit about what Grant has to say. If it's the first time watching, please hit that like button, and we'll go ahead from there.
Interest rates will have to come down in order for pricing to come down.
That's right.
This is actually a contradiction to what most people think, but when interest rates come down, mortgage applications will go up, and people will start selling their homes.
Well, the World Economic Forum had this famous commercial where they talked about the Great Reset, and they said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And you're seeing that happening. You're saying that we are becoming a renter nation. I say it's by design. Explain what you mean by it.
The rents in this country, the average rent, as much as people complain about them, we have 12,000 units. The average rent's about $1,800. And as much as they complain about it, the mortgage on a similar home in that same neighborhood would be double that, plus insurance, and plus a PMI, which is mortgage insurance on the mortgage itself. So it's unaffordable for people to own a home today. And that means you will rent, you will literally own nothing and be happy about it. Now, the apartment complexes that are being built today provide such crazy great amenities that it is actually, for new generations of people, it's actually an alternative that's not economic, but actually desirable for them to actually live someplace for 10 or 24 months at a time rather than hunker down for 30 years.
Yeah, well, these hedge funds and private equity firms are buying up property and then, making them into rentals. And we're seeing, as you said, less and less people owning their home, which always was the American dream.
Yeah, I just want to say that we're entering the greatest real estate correction in my lifetime. It will not include single family homes, but it will include office, which we're already seeing that damage. And we're going to see it across the entire apartment complex. It's going to be a great opportunity for individuals, regular, everyday people, to actually grab trophy real estate estate from institutions. This has never happened in this country. It's going to be at epic levels.
All right, perfect. So we see there again. Grant said a few things in there that were interesting. I think the first thing was said by the panelist. She talked about the World Economic Forum, about how they intend to have everyone to own nothing and they will be happy about it. And this is something that's being pushed very heavily right now. We see the investment overall with the crash in commercial real estate. So much money, what's used to be held in these particular buildings. Your buildings were $100 million, $200 million, and now all of that money is now being funneled toward the single-family rental market and towards other investments. And we're seeing a crowding out of the regular U.S. buyer. Right now, people are competing against the hedge funds. Many people expected a housing crash to this point, and nothing has happened yet. Interest rates have dropped significantly over the last week as the Federal Reserve has come out and stated that they're kind of considering lower rates for the coming years. They said they were planning for a 4.6 rate in 2024, and I think a 3.5 rate in 2025. These are going to have some serious implications overall on the markets. And that's what we're seeing right now. Grant Cardone talked about how, you shouldn't really be worried about all of these things. The cost of the mortgage is so high. Just stay focused on paying rent. And someone who owns property, that's of course something they would like to say. He said there that he owns about 12,000 units. And that's a good chunk of change for a lot of people. 12,000 units times that by $1,800 is a lot of money. And this is just one aspect of his investment and his business strategy. We're seeing right now that things are difficult, and we'll see exactly how this week plays out with the rates dropping. Will housing continue to rise? There were stories last week about how there were homes on the market for 30 days, 45 days without any offers. And then just as rates dropped this week, they were receiving 3 or 4 offers for the same home at the same price. Well, let's continue. Banks have a large spread between their rate and the overall normal historical rate of, I think, 1.5 to 2% on top of the federal funds rate. So with that continuing to collapse from 3% down to that historical number, we can see increased decompression overall in the market. But this will be an interesting time to see. Normally, spring season begins in February or so. But we'll see exactly how things shake out here. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good day.